So the last thing we're going to go over before we learn about pH, before we go on break, is pH. All right? So let's talk about pH for a minute. Everybody already knows from middle school that pH is a measure of acidity, right? If it's a higher pH, then it's going to taste more bitter, and it's going to be alkaline and a base. If it's a lower pH, it's going to taste more sour. It's going to be acidic. And if the pH is too low or too high, you probably shouldn't taste it. Because it will burn. All right? Because it'll react with your existing molecules and change them, and you won't like it.
It'll hurt.
It'll hurt.
I know personally.
Okay, story time. Real quick story time.
Wait, serious?
Serious story time.
You just go on my YouTube channel, Ralph Wang.
Well, I was going to tell you my story. Is that okay?
Okay, sure.
Okay. So when I was in college, I had to do an experiment, and I had to use glacial acetic acid. Now, acetic acid is vinegar. Well, vinegar is 6%. Usually it's like 3%. Okay. Glacial acetic acid is 99%.
Oh, jeez.
What do I mean by percent? So vinegar is like 6 milliliters of vinegar for every 100 milliliters of water. Acetic acid, 99%, is 99 milliliters of acetic acid to 1 milliliter of water. Okay, it's mostly acetic acid. It's very acid, okay? And I'm like, it's vinegar, whatevs. So I go, I'm not even in my own lab, I'm in my neighbor's lab. I'm like, do you guys have acetic acid? Can I borrow like 5 milliliters or whatever? And they're like, sure, we got a 2-gallon jug right there. So I go and reach down for the 2-gallon jug. I am picking it up, and it falls out of my hands when it's about 1.5 feet above the ground. It is glass because acids are stored in glass containers. It smashes. 2 gallons of brand new glacial acetic acid go all over the floor, and I can feel it sticking to my shoes. Like my shoes are dissolving and sticking to the ground as I am running towards the sink to wash my hands and face and like front and make sure I don't have any of it on me. And it starts to evaporate into the air. Now, let me tell you, the floor never looked the same. Let me also tell you, because none of us knew this, when you have a chemical spill and you're not 100% sure that everything is safe, pull the fire alarm. Step 1, pull the fire alarm. After you make sure you're not covered in acid. And we didn't know this, so we started Googling. And like somebody called security, and then security pulled the fire alarm. But now you guys know, if you have a chemical spill, you don't know what you just spilled, you pull the fire alarm. Okay, first. Then the fire marshals come, and you call 911, and you're like explaining to them what's going on, right? And apparently the whole building had to be evacuated because the acid goes into the air, and then it goes into your nose and ears and eyes, and then it starts reacting with the water in your nose and ears and eyes and making it very acidic and giving you breathing trouble and eye problems. And for many years afterwards, I can tell you, I did not want any dressing in my salad. It just, I could smell it, and I was like, oh God, no, I can feel it in my throat again. Everybody was fine. I got a stern lecture, and I was not allowed to work in that lab again. So, always wear gloves, always wear eye protection. Closed-toed shoes saved my life that day. Whenever you get anything on you, wash it off immediately and completely, and pull the fire alarm if you don't know what to do. If you're scared, pull the fire alarm. Or call 911, or both. Okay, back to acids. Why was the acidic acid interacting with the water in my throat and hurting me? Because at all times, water is at this sort of equilibrium balance between being a water molecule and actually being an ion. Right? So it goes back and forth. It can connect or split up. That hydrogen bond can kind of, the bond between the hydrogen and oxygen, it's not a hydrogen bond, it's covalent, can be broken. And therefore, there are some hydrogen ions and some hydroxide ions floating around. We would like to know, the more of these guys there are, the more acidic. The more of these guys there are, the most basic. So this is a measure of alkaline. This is going to be a measure of acidity. And when we describe quantities, we end up using a lot of zeros. Because, you know, let's say we're talking about regular neutral water. We're going to have 7 times 10, wait, no, 1 times 10 to the negative 7th moles per liter of hydrogen floating around in that water. Does everybody know what a mole is?
Yeah.
Who does not know what a mole is?
16.
Fair enough. So, we all know what a dozen is. Like a dozen eggs, that's 12. We all know what a score is. 407 years ago. A score is 20. A mole is Avogadro's number, which is, you guys can help me, 6 times 6.2. 02 times 10 to the 23rd. Okay, so a dozen is 12, a score is 20, and a mole is 6.2 times 0.02 times 10 to the 23rd. So that's a really big number. It's going to have 23, well, actually 1, 2, okay, it's going to have 21 zeros on it. Okay? Big number. So, 1 times 10 to the negative 7th moles of hydrogen in 1 liter of water. So it makes sense why we just say moles instead of writing this out. But if we start writing 1 times 10 to the negative 7, so it's
6.
And there's my 1. Yeah, so that's a lot of zeros. My fingers get tired, right? And scientists got really sick of this. So instead of saying how much hydrogen there was in moles, they decided to say how much hydrogen there was in terms of pH. pH is the negative logarithm of the hydrogen concentration. We're going to go over that. So, let's say we had 1 times 10 to the negative 7th moles of hydrogen per liter. Let's put that number in here. The log base 10 of 10 to the negative 7 is 7. Well, negative 7 actually. So we have negative 7, so that's 7, we have a pH of 7.
Yeah, neutral.
So how about we add some hydrogen? 10 to the negative 2. Right? Because 10 to the negative 7, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And 10 to the negative 2, 1, there we go. So this number is bigger than that number, right?
Yeah.
So this number is bigger than 10 to the negative 7?
Yep.
Okay, so we have more hydrogen, right? More hydrogen per liter.
Yep.
So we put it in here, and we get a pH of 2. So the lower the pH, the more hydrogen I have. And I officially now know how to use this equation. And if I have it on the USABO test, I will be able to get it right. And I will give you guys some pH practice problems. And if you guys need it, just ask. If you just need basic practice with logarithms, if you just need basic problems with exponents and negative exponents, just ask. If you want to have some practice with moles, just ask, okay? You know my email me, you will get it. Okay? So back to here, that's how we do pH. Guys, how do you think we measure pOH?
pOH is 14 minus pH.
Yes. Also known as the negative log base 10 of the OH concentration. The hydroxide concentration, that's a negative sign. Alright? let's talk about that acetic acid that I managed to get all over myself, like one last time. That acetic acid was floating in the air, getting breathed into my lungs by my, diaphragm, moving in and out, right? And basically, acetic acid is a molecule that, when it interacts with water, it gives the water extra hydrogen. So the acid loses that hydrogen, and the water gains the hydrogen. And as more and more and more water in my airways started gaining hydrogen, the hydrogen concentration increased, the pH decreased, and all that extra hydrogen started reacting with the other molecules in my throat, giving me pain. And also, potentially, if I had been standing in that room inhaling, which I wasn't because I was not that dumb, right? I could have gotten some real damage to my throat. Make sense to everybody? Acids add hydrogen to the water. Bases take hydrogen away from the water. All right, it is officially break time. Take a nice 4-minute break, pee, drink, stretch your fingers, stand up, stretch. Open a window, look at the sunlight. All good. Other questions I can answer? Review it and think about it right now. Kind of quick? Yeah, it's okay. For next time, you'll have time to read ahead of time, and so it won't be so quick.
Was it butt water dumping? Remember that? That's so long ago.
I was thinking they're awesome.
That was like 4 2 years ago.